ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Manic Movie Misfits podcast.
Hola.
That was a book. If
that was
if those of you who are listening are probably extremely confused right now.
Yeah.
Where there was a 20-second silence. That's because I was giving TJ the silent treatment for interrupting me for the second time in 3 episodes. So looks like after this, the podcast, as we know it, might no longer exist. Wonder who's going to get kicked out. But of course, I'm John. That's TJ.
Hola.
And on today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing exactly what we did the last time, which is just talking about what we want to talk about. We're chilling. We got our LaCroix. Not a sponsor, could be.
Here's hoping.
We got selected works of Jack London. Jack London could be a sponsor. Who knows?
Because he's totally still alive.
He is. Oh, and I just absolutely murked the audio there again. I'm good at that. We're just going to chill. TJ, what have you been doing? I mean, it's been a little over a week since we recorded last time. Did you run into did you get accosted by any Costco people? Did you, samplers?
I haven't been to Costco since we went a year ago. That's the only time I've been in 5 years.
That was the last time I think I've been to Costco, actually.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
I don't go to Costco much.
Where do I go? I'll just go to the basic places. Albertsons, Winco, that we have here where we live. But other than that, not much.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of bookstores.
Barnes & Noble. Rediscovered books.
Yeah. I discovered books for the first time a couple years ago, actually.
Books, they do exist.
It's kind of weird. I became an English major.
Once you became an English major, you realized, hey, books exist. And,
I did. I started my first class, and they were talking about a book, and I was, what is this?
What the hell's a book?
And they said, go to Barnes & Noble. It's like, okay. I'm like, oh, these are books.
Yeah, that's what this place sells.
Right.
They don't just sell Taylor Swift vinyls and Criterion Collection DVDs.
Yeah, okay. I thought this was just a large version of Starbucks. That's why they had Starbucks in the middle. This makes so much more sense. I thought all the pages were just different Starbucks recipes, considering how long Starbucks has been around. But no, sure enough, it is actual books.
Imagine.
I was just...
You're dumbfounded.
Before we continue, I just want to mention something because we have been doing a lot of things on this podcast, TJ, both format-wise and studio-wise. So I just want to give another update to everyone. The 3 people that listen, shout out those 3 people. We appreciate you.
Holding strong. So if you want to see the video version of this podcast, check that out with the link that is in our Instagram page or in our bio, or just look up the Manic Movie Misfits podcast on YouTube, and you'll see the video version of this, which is fun because you can see me do my hand motions. Oh yeah.
And all my sign language, that sort of stuff.
You learned ASL?
I did just for this episode, not really, but
it'll really come through in podcast format.
Okay, well, why don't we can do Morse code with tapping.
That is doing wonders for the audio, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I know. I'm the MVP of this episode so far.
You make fun of me for it.
Okay, that's true. But now you need to fight back, TJ. You need to make fun of me.
I need to retaliate.
Yeah, you need to retaliate. So we got the YouTube channel, Insta content. So on our Instagram, we're being more active there. We're posting video clips
from the
podcasts every time we release a new one.
And we usually do one original post and then a reminder post a few days later, just saying, hey, this episode's out now.
Yeah, in case you missed.
In case you missed it. In case you have a busy life.
Happens.
It happens. And I think that's really it. Oh, of course, you see the studio setup. And you're also wondering probably now, if you're a recurring listener, why do they have different backgrounds going on here? Well, if you notice TJ's, you'll notice a familiar object, which is the clapboard over there. So you're thinking, okay, I can tell this may be a similar studio. We are just on new sides of the studio here. So normally I'd be sitting to my left. TJ would be sitting to his left. But now we're kind of... The whole idea behind getting you trying this circular table out is so we could do this sort of thing. Mix it up. Because I hate looking at TJ for an hour, so I kind of have to get some new setting around there, some new other stuff to look at. Otherwise, I get bored.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Good. Just shook hands like good old fine gentlemen.
Yeah, and now we duel.
Do we throw the LaCroix cans at each other? What are we doing?
Yeah, that'll be in place of our revolvers.
I'm trying to figure out if there's any sharp objects around us. I don't think I can find any.
What do we do? Like fighting to the death with blades?
Well, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, fair.
Now, I'd like the podcast to get a little bigger so we have a better chance of getting more views for the episode on YouTube, but hey.
Well, whoever dies, we just replace with a Little John.
Okay, great. Well, that means I'm probably going to die because that's how that works.
John and John. The Manic Movie Misfits.
If I die and John replaces me, we're relatively the same height, have the same hair color.
Yeah.
We're both named John, spelled the exact same way. We're not the great value Johns, the Jon Johns.
I bet they love that.
I'm just calling it how it is. If you're a Jon follower out there, totally cool with me. I'm just saying that's what Little John said. So if you wanna take it out on him, take it out on him, not me.
Yeah,
that's what he
him.
said.
Oh yeah, our elusive third member who's not here.
Yeah, he's not here because he has problems. Yeah. Just kidding. He's doing student things. So cheers to student things.
Salute.
Students.
Things we're not. Or I guess you are still.
I am still. Why is something opening randomly on my computer? Okay, that was strange.
Yeah.
Okay. That's maintenance. That's sort of housekeeping stuff we've got going. TJ, I noticed on your letterbox that you watched Poor Things.
I did.
Now, as someone who is not a poor thing, could you please explain to us your thoughts? Spoiler-free thoughts.
Yeah.
Good and bad. Exceptional. Atrocious. On Poor Things.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, Poor Things is one of the new movies from... I can't remember the director's name. He's a very famous Greek guy.
Yorgos Lanthimos or something?
So, yeah, it's to that extent.
Or it's Yorgos something.
Yeah, but your last name, like, approximation was, I feel like, pretty close.
Yes.
I don't know. It's Greek.
It is.
But, yeah, it's his new film with Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo. It's very Frankenstein. For the basic ideas. Willem Dafoe is a scientist who brings Emma Stone back to life, and she essentially has to learn how to be a human again as she travels the world.
Sort of like what you're doing right now.
Pretty much.
Trying to be a human, trying to learn.
I don't know what being a human is, but I
so
try.
Hello is like a formal greeting.
Yeah.
It's just to greet people. It's nice to sort of start conversations out. That's a tip.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But yeah, it's a very good movie. I really liked it. Production wise, it's just beautiful. It has like this weird kind of like old style effects kind of look to it, like the production of it. And like it's got this weird color like variety. It's very fun. It kept it very fun to look at, considering it's like a 2.5 hour movie. It always felt engaging in that respect. The acting's great. I think my only mild gripe with it, like my big gripe with it, is there's one section that I think is objectively great, but the lead into it is kind of just there. And I think that's like some of the things with the parts of the plot where it's like kind of just happens, which I get is like it's not like the worst, but at the same time like the bridging between some events is just all right. But it's a fantastic movie. I really like it. And
Good.
in terms of the best pictures, I think I've seen 4 of the movies. I'd probably rank it number 2.
Behind, what's number 1?
Oppenheimer.
Dude, Oppenheimer, man. It's inevitable.
It really is.
People have been complaining. They've been saying, oh, this Oscars campaign, this Oscars isn't going to be very fun because Oppenheimer's going to win everything, which is probably true. But hey, it's not Oppenheimer's fault for it's not Christopher Nolan's fault for making a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And if someone wanted to do a better job, I guess they should have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we've talked about this the other week, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So within the last month, we talked about the Oscars.
5 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
When Oppenheimer was definitely out and definitely already made.
Oh yeah, totally in conception.
Hey, we are bending time here, just like Nolan. Nolan would love that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic movie, and like it's bound to win like a lot of stuff. And I think although it's like not the most like eventful thing in that respect, like it's obviously winning a lot of these things. I mean, it deserves it because it's a damn good movie. So like at the end of the day, like it's obvious, but also it's like it's deserving.
Isn't Emma Stone the front runner for Best Actress?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I've seen, for the stuff I've seen, I'd say like Oppenheimer is like number 1 for a lot of things. And then, like, if it's not that, it's probably Poor Things.
Yeah.
Especially like production wise and acting and stuff like that.
It got nominated for the second most, right? Oscars this year?
Yeah. I think like Oppenheimer's like 13 and Poor Things is like 11.
Which is interesting because, as we've talked about on the podcast before, the Oscars are very much in favor of the straightforward movie, whether it's a biopic or some linear storyline that has very clear, defined beginnings, middles, ends, that sort of thing. But for Poor Things to get whatever it got, how many
11 or 12 Oscars,
some crazy number of nominations is really showing the Oscars growth.
Yeah.
And they're building on what they've been doing the last several years, you know, with Parasite winning and Everything Everywhere All at Once winning and all these different movies that don't normally get nominations to have them get nominations.
Exactly.
Is really showing their growth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, The Favorite was a big movie in the Oscars, which is by the same guy, which was 2018. I think it was when it released, so awards 2019. And then I think like that kind of catapulted him into being like even bigger in the Oscars in this next movie. And like actually like having everyone be like, look at this guy. He's foreign and he makes weird movies, but
they're better written than the Street Fighter movie.
I don't know about that.
Okay, sorry. I forgot. That's no. Be serious. We have to defend that movie with our life.
It's the best movie I've ever seen.
Fantastic. 5 out of 5 stars. Better than Who Killed Captain Alex.
Ooh, that's a bold claim.
Okay, I keep digging myself in this hole. We both are.
Yeah, that's what we do in this podcast.
We do. 5 years from now, people are going to be coming back and roasting us.
Yeah, we'll be canceled.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yikes.
But, yeah, I mean, it's a very odd, very fun little movie. So I'd recommend it if, I mean, the thing I've heard about it, like heard beforehand, and like, I think if that, like, the only disclaimer I have is if you are very uncomfortable with sex in movies, this movie's not for you.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. So I enjoyed it. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
as a normal movie.
I didn't even think twice about it, but yeah,
it's a fair warning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is something that people are very, some people are very against it, and so
you're just doing the audience your due diligence and
yeah, that's exactly it, pretty much. It's a fantastic movie otherwise, though. Like,
one other movie that we should talk about that we watched recently, we're kind of on this trend of rewatching movies and then realizing they're better than what we remembered.
Dude, that's been like half the movies I've rewatched recently.
Again, I don't watch nearly as many movies as you, but one that we both watched together that did that for both of us is Sicario.
It's a great movie.
Now, I don't think it's Denis Villeneuve's best.
Same.
We actually both agree with that one as Blade Runner, from what we've seen.
Yeah, I'd say so.
My voice is just like somehow just playing with me.
Nice. That was crispy.
Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back.
The amount of times we've done that this episode. You should have a counter of like times that like you've done something like that and times I've done something like that.
What? Just like we're back, or
did like the like where we like look at the camera and we do something like this, or like like do the drink or something like that.
Here's what I will do.
We've done that a lot.
Just because I'm that good of a guy and I'm that nice of a guy and I'm willing to put in that kind of time, I will go through the entire video and clip, put in the work, and for the Instagram promo for this video, it will just be us fist pumping or clinking our cans.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird in a way.
Camera motions.
And that'll be the promo clip. There you go, folks. You already know.
Hell yeah.
That's in honor of our greatness.
Yeah.
In honor of our greatness.
Salute.
We both agree that 2049 is the best Denis Villeneuve movie from the ones we've seen.
Yeah. Which ones have you seen? I can't remember.
I think I've seen all the same ones that you have except for
Prisoners. And Enemy. You haven't seen
Enemy. You've seen Enemy. Okay.
I've seen Enemy. Yeah, that sounds about right though.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sicario, Blade Runner, Dune.
I
think that's all. Yeah. I've seen 5, you've seen 3. That makes sense.
You know the one director, okay, this is, slight tangent, but whatever. The one director that I've seen more movies than I actually realize from is David Fincher. I've legitimately seen more movies than I think from that guy.
Yeah. He's one of those guys where it's like you don't even realize you've seen like most of his movies and you're like, "Oh, I only have like 4 left." That's surprising.
Definitely. But back to
regardless.
Denis. We want to appreciate Denis. Do I just need to drink this can so I don't have anything to cheers with?
We'll have to like throw it outside the room. Because I know with an empty can we'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
Knowing us.
Yeah, that's probably true. My issue with Sicario was...
What?
Oh, I'm just going through the voice thing again. What the...
Oh.
My thing with Sicario was always... I thought the plot kind of lost momentum at points.
It does. Yeah.
And that was my biggest struggle with it the first time we watched it, and I docked it quite a bit for that. But those dips aren't as great as I thought they were when I rewatched them. I still think they're there.
Yeah.
But it's not nearly as bad as I thought.
No, they're really not that bad.
And then a lot of the other elements, I mean, of course, the cinematography is perfect. That was always the case. You have Roger Deakins. It's just...
God tier Roger Deakins movie.
I think really the moment that you realize how God tier it is the infamous shot where they're all going down to the tunnel.
Yeah. Such a great shot.
It's such a great shot, but it's so overhyped from Instagram that...
Oh, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of those.
There is a lot of those. And usually, or at least sometimes, most of the time, those can get ruined because they're being replayed so much. Mm-hmm. That shot is so good.
And no matter how many times you see it,
no matter how many times you see it, 100%. Yeah. It never gets boring.
Yeah.
Never. It's never, that got ruined for me because of some
Instagram,
social media platform. Yeah. Just not true. It's just not true.
Yeah.
And that's the whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
I also wanted to give Emily Blunt more credit than I did the last time when I rewatched it. She's not putting in this best actress performance, but what she's doing is she is a great vehicle to carry the movie. Yeah, seeing the way she reacts to things, she does that perfectly. She does exactly what she needs to do.
Did she go up for an Oscar for the movie?
She might have. But she definitely didn't win. Right now. Of course she didn't win. She's up this year, of course.
She is.
She won't win.
She won't win. I still don't get why, but I mean, she's great, but not that much.
Yeah.
For the movie. But regardless, Sicario.
Yeah, she's always interesting to watch in the movie.
Yeah.
And seeing the way she reacts to things, how she handles things, because she has a very different point of view and ideology than Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro's characters when it comes to this conflict that's going on.
Exactly.
This conflict makes it more interesting to see how she's reacting, what she's doing. This is her first experience in it as well, this whole thing that's going on. She fulfills that role in a very realistic way. And again, she is a great vehicle for the movie. Is there anything, TJ, that you'd like to add to that maybe? Or is there anything else that you saw that you thought was better than the last time? Because we both upped our scores for this movie.
We did, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just like, I feel like a lot of it is like, some of those sequences are just so amazingly done. And like, although yes, the plot dips a little and like, it can get a little, alright, like parts of it are just alright in that respect. Like, I mean, when it's good, it's like, some of those sequences are just god tier filmmaking. Like that's everything you want out of tension and like the action, like the realism of it. It's like it's really like it's very interesting to watch. And like I think like just as an overall picture, I was like, this is a lot like cooler than I remembered it being. But I mean, can't go wrong.
You bring up a great point with those sequences that build up that tension. Of course, you have that long one towards the beginning where they're going to the border.
Yeah, that's a fantastic sequence.
Fantastic. A lot of great POV shots. Mm-hmm. You have Deakins puts the camera on the trucks. He puts it in the tunnel with the Marines, ex-Marines, as they're in the tunnel taking out all the guys in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Very well placed camera work. I mean, it's Deakins. He's what is it? 15 something Oscar nominations, just
something like that. I'll count that after.
Yeah.
The movie she did not go up for it.
She did not go up for it.
It was,
which,
yeah.
Or did you want to say something?
I was going to say it was sound mixing, score, and cinematography.
And of course, Deakins did not win. He had not won yet, correct?
He had not, no.
Right, because 2049 first win is at least a year later, right? Or is it 2?
I think the movie came out 2017, so yeah, it'd be another 2-3 years until he actually wins the like an Oscar.
Right. Also, I want to shout out Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
I hope he writes some more movies because he's been stuck on Yellowstone for quite a while, I know. And just TV shows in general, right? He's got not only does he have all the spin-offs and the prequels to Yellowstone, but he also is coming out with even more shows, right? He has that Special Ops Lioness
I remember
show
that one out.
Which I saw most of. I didn't get through all of it, but that has actually a stacked cast. It has Nicole Kidman, Morgan Freeman, and of course, what's her name?
Oh, Zoe Saldana?
That's right. Great cast to it. But I've grown to love his writing more and more because he's really kind of supported the outdoor realism sort of
vibe.
Not what am I looking for? Field, I guess, or space in filmmaking between Wind River, Sicario, and Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
I love and that's what really stood out to me with Sicario is I love movies where they're not cutting anything away. Like you don't feel like they're cutting away from something because they want to keep it as PG-13 or they're cutting away from something. They're not using something in the natural process because it's not pretty when it comes to filmmaking. With the two that I've seen, he does not do that once. It is very much, this is exactly how this goes down. It's not pretty.
Yeah, this is how.
This is how people get things done. This is how you have to do it. From a literature standpoint, I love those writers. My favorite writer is John Steinbeck. He's a naturalist. That is literally their MO is just these are how humans function. This is what they do. This isn't some pretty picture because this is what goes on. This is what happens.
At the end of the day.
And it's kind of funny. I'm
I had the selected works of Jack London. Jack London is also a naturalist. That's what they love. So I think it's quite fitting, actually, that we're talking about Sicario with Jack London here.
On the table.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and I hope, like I said, I think now, of course, Sheridan's making a crap load. Dude, think about how much money he's made on Yellowstone just alone.
The amount of stuff he always has in the works is pretty crazy. I mean,
he has to be constantly working.
Yeah, I mean, he has to. But I mean, like, between all the Yellowstone stuff and like all the shows, I mean, like, movie-wise, he hasn't been too hot in the last few years. Like, I mean, he made like Without Remorse. Like, he wrote that.
Yeah,
like,
I still need to see that. But John saw. Did you see it, DJ?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay,
but it hasn't had the most favorable reviews, like that, and like although it has like that natural vibe to it. Those Who Wish Me Dead, the one with Angelina Jolie.
Right.
That one was like, that's so, like way like, for being like by the same guy who did Sicario and like all these fantastic movies, like it felt so like unbelievably basic for like idea wise. It was just like, it's an action movie, and it's like, this has no feel kind of like what it, like, especially like what the things you want to like hit on.
Right.
It was very like bland in that sense, and I was like, this is really disappointing to watch because this could have been like kind of cool. But like, I mean, yeah, I think like his focus is mostly on television at the moment, and then maybe he'll come back to filming next a little bit. Who knows? He's been up for 16 Oscars. Roger Deakins.
And he's won 2, right?
Won 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's won Blade Runner and 1917.
Okay.
But yeah, back-to-back years so many times.
There was
twice in 1 year. Still lost.
What's the name of the trilogy? Because there's a name for the trilogy, the Sheridan trilogy, right? Those 3 movies. Do you know what they're called? Do you know what it's called? I can look it up. I can't remember, but there is a name for it.
There is. I don't technically know it. I feel like you would know more because you've seen more of it here.
Right. Tyler.
But I do know, there's like that idea of is like a trilogy.
Yeah, I think maybe it was like America something. I don't know.
That does sound right. Yeah.
Yeah. Tyler Sheridan. As I'm vocally thinking.
Yeah, I do that all the time. But,
American Frontier trilogy.
American Frontier. I was gonna say it's something American because I remember you telling me that, and I was like, that rung a bell out like immediately. I was like, oh, that. But
hopefully in the future he'll make another good movie. I mean, he has enough groundwork where it's obviously possible that he can have a stretch and consistently make good stuff.
Yeah.
But again, like you were mentioning, TJ, those last 2 are just kind of...
Yeah, the last few movies haven't been great. I think he just needs to, like, once he settles down a little bit, like, it's not like I'm writing 6 projects at the same time. Once he has that, like, I can sit down, I can focus on 1 or 2 ideas, like, actually, I think that's when he'll, like, get back to being, like, god tier writer, at least, like, consistently. Because, I mean, like, yes, Yellowstone's great, or apparently, so we've heard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, not every side project is same level.
Yeah. It's all, I mean, as we know, Yellowstone revived cable television because it was...
Yeah.
And it's going to go down again after Yellowstone ends because just Yellowstone was just a massive thing. It still is. Even though the momentum was lost because like the last at least season I know wasn't nearly as good as the ones before.
Yeah.
But it's still massive franchise at this point, right? Because there's so many shows now that are prequels of it.
Yeah. How many do you know if they're doing the last season or is...
So I haven't officially looked up what's going on, but I know Kevin Costner wants out.
Mm-hmm. I knew that.
I don't know if that means he's going to be in the final season or not, because he might still be in it. He might still be in the final season.
If it's one more season, then, I mean, even if he's not in it the most, like, at least he's in it.
Right. Which would be, I would hope the 2 sides come together and say, hey, let's make one final season and let's include literally again, I haven't seen the show, but he's the main character, right?
I think so.
He's
the face of the show, at least.
Yes. So with the face of the show and the show itself, hopefully they can come together and say, hey, let's end this right. Because nothing's more annoying than when a show is left in an unsatisfying place or when characters leave
before the show ends.
The main character leaves, and you're like, wow, this ultimately ruins like half the storylines.
Yeah, very few times in television history has a show actually recovered. I think the pinnacle being Cheers, when
Cheers is good.
Kirstie Alley came in.
Yeah.
For, well, I don't know. I can't remember. I always forget the actress's name, but
the original lady.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name either.
Yeah, Diane was the character, but I can't remember the actress's name. But point being, it rarely happens.
Yeah.
And it rarely goes well.
Yeah, I think 70 Show and
yes, 1,000%.
like 2.5 Men are like the pinnacles of that.
Oh, and MASH did a pretty good job because it had a few characters that left.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it did well considering it has the most watched finale of all time.
I was gonna say, I think like the Reputation like never really died. Like it dipped, but like I mean like some of the seasons like so I've heard from you, but I mean like you have to have some consistency to create the most viewed television episode ever. Yeah,
you can't just go off of past episodes. You have to go off on relative, like they had to at least have a decent amount of momentum and viewership going into that finale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't just create that out of nowhere.
No, even if you had such a strong beginning.
Yeah.
Where was I going to go? Well, one question I wanted to ask you, TJ.
Go for it.
Is, you know, obviously Tarantino, seems kind of like a sidetrack, but I thought of it because we were talking about writing.
Yeah.
Tarantino has one more film, he says, left in him, which he's making now.
Yeah.
Which isn't it called The Movie Critic?
It is.
That's right.
Or that's like the working title, at least.
Right, and I'm pretty sure it's on the, I'm forgetting her name. What's her name?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's the really famous female critic. What's her name? I can't remember. Almost just as famous as Roger Ebert, that kind of level.
Interesting.
I can literally, it's kind of funny. I follow her account someone is running an account where they're posting all her reviews from when they originally came out. I told you about her, remember?
Oh, yeah. Pauline Kael.
Right.
Kael.
Thank you. You got it. Yes, Pauline Kael, I think, is what the movie is centered on.
Yeah,
but
okay.
That's besides the point. My question to you is, I'm really good at just talking and not getting to the point, as you guys can tell.
I do that a lot too.
Yeah, TJ, well, that's why we work so well together.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Because for me, Tarantino bragging about, to the point of almost bragging, he's saying,
I have one movie.
Yeah, I have one movie left. I can only do 10 or whatever the number is. I find that kind of stupid. As much as I love Tarantino, it just gets annoying. It's just and you're not, who knows? Honestly, just watch him 5 years down the road say, "Oh, actually, I actually want to make another movie." It's going to happen most likely.
Exactly. I get like retiring. I mean, retiring is one thing. Like at the end of the day, you're going to eventually stop making movies.
Yes.
But like he's not super old. I mean, like he's like older, but like he's not like 80, like he's not like in his 80s or something like that. And I it's hard for me to do this. I mean, he's like, how old is he? Like 60?
I'll look it up.
He might be in his like early 60s or something. Like he's not that old. So like, I mean, like for him to be like acting like he's like 95 years old and like I can't make another movie. It's like, you obviously can. I think you're just milking the idea of doing 10 movies and that's it. But
60.
Are you 60? Oh, dang. I did not expect to be mildly right on that.
Bingo.
But I mean, I like I said, I get retiring, but like eventually I feel like he might just go like stir crazy. And he's like, I have to write something. At least do something for a movie.
Well, at least leave the door open.
Yeah. Don't paint yourself into a corner where it's like, this is it. This is the final thing I'm doing. It's like, I mean, you're probably not. You're not going to be completely done with movies. You're super influential and people love you and like they're going to want to see you come back eventually in some form or fashion. And I mean, like, I get you running like theaters and stuff like that now and like all
Which
that.
is cool.
It's super cool. But at the end of the day, like I think your heart lies in creating like art. And once you stop doing that, you're going to kind of go stir crazy in that sense.
And I know some of his reasoning is he wants to, as you were mentioning, TJ, you know, he has all the theater stuff going on and running those and
writing books. I know he's talked about writing books. He's talked about, I think, even writing screenplays or writing plays.
That makes sense.
I believe he's mentioned those things.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have to say, I'm only making 10 films. That means, hey, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to write this stuff, do what I want to do. I've been lucky enough and I've been talented enough to put myself in this position where I can do what I want to do. So go at it. Maybe it's 10 years. Maybe it's 15 years. Yeah. You're doing all this stuff. But don't say, this is my last movie, because in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. I believe whether it's 10, 15, even 5 years, he is going to make another movie. I just don't see it where he's not going to get stir crazy.
He'll have some big hand in the movie. Like, I can see that.
At least on a writing level.
Yeah, writing, or like even if it's like producing and just being hands-on in the industry. Like, I feel like he'll have some sort of role like that. Like, he would have to.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think 10 is, although it's like a great like idea, like 10 movies and that's it. I mean, like he's not old. He'll have time to still do stuff.
93-year-old Clint Eastwood is sitting in a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
He's just like, hello.
Yeah. Miyazaki and Clint Eastwood are like, nice try, asshole.
Follow-up question.
Yeah.
Talking about Clint Eastwood, who has made a lot of movies.
Yeah.
A lot, to the point where you forget some that he's made.
Yeah. The list is like a mile long.
And of course, because of how many movies he's made, you have those duds. Some really bad duds.
You're bound to.
Some we won't mention.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, right, you have Tarantino, who has very few movies. What are your thoughts on directors that make a ton of movies, great directors that make a ton of movies, and great directors that make, a few?
Yeah.
Because even with the great directors, Ridley Scott and I'll put Clint Eastwood in there. He's won a couple Best Pictures.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic director.
Really is. So Clint Eastwood, Ridley Scott. What are your thoughts on those two type of directors? Do you have a preference? Do you really care? What are your thoughts on when you have these great directors that'll make bad movies every once in a while, but they're producing more content? What do you think?
I think it ultimately comes down to just like what they make. I mean, I think there's something to be said about, like, yes, they're making a lot of movies, but at the end of the day, it's all things they're very passionate about. Like, it's very to their style. It's it's obviously like consistently kind of like pushing the barrier for like what it does for them. There's like times where that's great. I mean, Ridley Scott, in making 50 billion movies, has made some great movies, even in the latter half of his career. I mean,
Facts.
You got like the later Alien movies, and you got like The Martian and stuff like that.
Martian nominated for Best Picture, correct?
Yeah, and it's just like that would have not happened. I mean, if he just stopped in like the 80s or something like that, like after like 20 years of movies. But there is something to like having like is it Todd Field? I think something like a guy who like over the course of like 20 years has made like 3 movies.
I know what you're talking about. He was Children of Men, right? Isn't that the name of the movie?
No, Children of Men is Alfonso Cuarón.
That's right. What am I thinking?
He did Little Children.
Children. That's right.
Yeah, close. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like
that. By the way, that is a hell of a soundbite.
What?
Oh right, Children.
All right, Children. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a hell of a soundbite. I just gotta say.
I love that. Yeah, he did like that. He did In the Bedroom, which was his first movie.
Okay.
And I think he just did Tar, was his last one.
Right.
But like, I mean, over like I said, 20 years, made 3 movies. Each one of them has been like consistently fantastic, and like has like been like one of the best of the years, and like one of the most talked about films. And like, I mean, like, although he's not doing much, and like, I mean, you can just kind of like make royalty checks off of movies. Like, I think the idea of like coming back and being like, he's making a movie, this is fantastic. This is an event. Mm-hmm. There's something to that. I love that.
It's totally true. I don't disagree. You laid it out perfectly. There's pros, there's cons.
Yeah.
I will be honest, if I had to choose or I had to lean on one side, it would be the ones that make a ton of movies, right?
Yeah.
Just because you do get that diversity. You do just get them trying things that they're not afraid to try.
Yeah,
Because
Scorsese does that like all the time. Like,
100%.
I mean, like he doesn't make as many duds, but like at the same time, he's always trying these new things, new stories, new ideas, and I think that's like consistently why he's always stayed relevant. And like, I mean, he's already like in the talks to be one of the greatest of all time, just before like the 2000s. But I mean, like past that, I mean, you get some damn great movies, like just right there.
Yeah. I would also, you also could include, because I feel obligated at this point. It's just, we just have to shout him out. Michael Mann is definitely
Mikey.
in the group, the Tarantino group, more so than
Yeah, especially as of late.
Which it seems like now he's starting to make more movies. I mean, because you just have Ferrari coming out, and there's already talks about him getting Heat 2 ready for filmmaking.
Yeah.
Which, Adam Driver, please. Please.
Yes. We need you.
Adam Driver?
Salute. Oh yeah.
We need Adam Driver. We need
good actors.
I know Adam Driver was linked to do the Macaulay part, so playing De Niro.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple for Al Pacino. I know Timothée Chalamet
Yeah, it was in talks.
and Austin Butler are the two that have been tied for
Those two.
for Pacino as well. I think they were both were both fan casted. I believe it was more fan casting for the Pacino role.
I know. I think it was Michael Mann was like, I would really like. I don't know if he was like, the idea of having Timothée Chalamet would be cool, or I want to work with Timothée Chalamet.
Okay.
It was like something like that where he definitely like, called out Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I don't know like I mean how actually close he is to like casting him or like someone in that role. Because I mean that still is a few years out, but
I want to see lots of people flock to a Michael Mann movie. One in particular where he's working on the highest level, because he is a filmmaker that has been underappreciated.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Of course, not by the film community, the real cinephiles.
He's a classic filmmaker. But
I mean, Heat, according to 95% of people that watch it, is a masterpiece, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
All the, between, and then when it comes to the directors, between Christopher Nolan, who did the panel for the anniversary of Heat for the Academy, he did. Oh. It's great. For those that want to check it out, for those that are Michael Mann fans, which if you aren't, I'll find you. There is a great panel held by the Oscars and Christopher Nolan where he has almost the entire crew.
That's pretty interesting.
The main crew for that movie. He has De Niro, of course, Pacino, Michael Mann, but then he has the cinematographer, the composer. It's really well done. Val Kilmer's even up there. He's had his recent illness. Yeah, is up there. He has a great answer to one of Nolan's questions. Of course, I'm staring at the poster as I'm talking to you guys. The poster is literally right behind this camera. My camera.
Is. Yeah.
It is. No, it truly is. Hi, Val.
There he is.
There he is.
Our favorite Batman.
Yeah.
I had to bring it up.
I'm glad you brought that up. But unfortunately, now you're just kind of... I have two ideas just like grabbing my mind right now, and I'm blaming you for this.
Sucker.
I'll finish... I'll compartmentalize here. I'll finish my point first, and then I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Although I think I might have already forgotten I was talking about.
The board. Having Val Kilmer and everyone on stage for the Oscars.
Oh, just a great thing to watch if you want to watch it. Really check it out. The Academy has only posted individual clips, but there is some other random YouTuber that posted the full thing. It's like an hour long. It's worth it. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, some of those are super cool. Where it's just like people like talking in depth about like it's how you make the movie. It's awesome.
It's really cool. Where I was going with that was Christopher Nolan really praised that movie and about how much he loved it and how much it influenced him.
Oh, yeah.
I think you can really see... If I had to... One of the things I would say that if I just had to guess would do that was there's obviously a lot of practicality to Michael Mann films, and I think at least with the action, you can attribute a little bit of that to...
Some of the Nolan action.
Yeah, some of the Nolan stuff.
Yeah, I feel like some of the stuff like the bank shootout and like some of that like... And I feel like even just like the movement of some of his movies, like you can be like that feels very like Michael Mann and very like Heat and like some of those like, I mean like I kind of think of like The Dark Knight. I feel like at parts has like very like Michael Mann moments to it. And, like I feel like it really is like out of all movies in Christopher Nolan's like filmography, like I feel like The Dark Knight is like his closest to like a Michael Mann film, and like,
100%.
because like it just moves in it, like there's something to it that just like it grabs you like a Michael Mann movie, while also kind of having that Christopher Nolan edge to it. It's fantastic.
There are several scenes, adding to your point, where it's very ground level stuff, and it kind of has that heat, bank chase practicality to it, for sure. But Nolan was just saying how much he loved the movie and how much influenced him, which I love. Nothing, I don't know about you, TJ, but nothing is more satisfying to me than when you have a favorite movie or you have a movie that's in your top 15, and then a well-respected director just verifies your opinion on it that is very well regarded. It's just, nothing beats that feeling. It's really great.
It's awesome. Well, yeah, hearing people like big movie people that are super respected and be like, this movie rocks. There's something to that. It's just like, it's so like, yes, people like actually love what I love, and like I love that feeling.
Especially if it's a movie that got 0 Oscar nominations or wasn't well regarded when it originally came out, and then people come back and realize, oh wait, this movie is fantastic.
Yeah, out of all, like, we come back and we think like, wow, this was actually really cool. I love that. Definitely.
Speaking of the movie behind me, I always look out for directors that praise Before Sunrise, the Before trilogy.
Yeah.
And there are several that do that. And of course, well, everyone now praises The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I mean, it's just if you don't think it's a good movie or there isn't a director, that's one of those movies. I can't remember if we said this on the podcast or not, but there's always those directors that'll disregard Star Wars and say they weren't influenced by it.
Jasper, no. Oh.
Or something along those lines, when in reality, and other people have talked about this, it's just facts. You were at least influenced by it in some way.
Yeah, if you weren't influenced by that, something you probably are influenced by is inspired by that. So
yes,
at the end of the day, you were inspired by it. Yeah, stop being an asshole. Just accept it.
The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is, if not right at Star Wars level, just right below it as far as how much that movie impacted directors.
I mean, I've never seen it, but
that's right. We gotta get to that.
Yeah, that's one of my few like big movies I've never seen.
Yeah.
Among with like
But you have seen the other two?
I've seen the first two.
That's right.
Of the Dollar trilogy, which are both great movies, and I can see like why like that, especially when that movie style like comes to a head in like a masterpiece level movie, it can be praised to the level it does, because I mean like you can see I mean just the style in that in and of itself.
Tarantino is majorly influenced by spaghetti westerns, Good, Bad, the Ugly.
Yeah. I mean, he straight up like has a whole section of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where it's like Rick Dalton goes to make spaghetti westerns.
Yes.
And it's like riffs on that idea, and it's really fun. I've seen a few Sergio Leone movies.
Well, and one of your for a while it was on your top 15. I can't remember if it still is.
I have to rewatch it.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in the West.
It's a fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people consider it Sergio Leone's best, which I totally get.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always like Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West, Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah.
I don't hear it as like his best, but I mean like in terms of like God level movies that he made.
Yeah.
I'd probably say like it rounds out to 3. But I mean like also like Fistful of Dollars is also pretty damn iconic.
One that I'll shout out is, I believe it's My Name Is Nobody.
Yeah, that's the name of the movie.
Yeah, which also has Henry Fonda again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love that one. That's another favorite of mine to shout out. It has my favorite Ennio Morricone piece as well.
Yeah.
Which
we went to watch a while ago, which we still have yet to. I'll add that to the list real quick.
I'm kind of, guys, I'm kind of bad here. As a host to TJ of all these westerns that I'm trying to show him, I'm a really bad host when it comes to that. I've been telling him, TJ, don't watch that. I'm going to show you it. Just, if you want to just, I'm sorry, TJ, I let you down.
Oh, it's all good. I don't think we've talked about watching that movie in a long time. So,
no, it's been a while.
That's honestly kind of fair. Yeah. I think I did the same thing where I was like, wait, we should watch it. And we never did.
Yeah, I want to get back into watching some more Westerns. I kind of went on a big Western kick and then stopped.
You did.
It was a lengthy one.
It was. I'd say it's probably one of your longest binges of movie types.
Yeah. But there's several... Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say that and Clint Eastwood.
The song by Gorillaz.
I love that song.
Does it actually have Clint Eastwood references in it, or what?
No.
No, it's
Just call it Clint Eastwood.
just called Clint Eastwood.
Dirty Harry doesn't have Dirty Harry
does it,
references.
yeah.
No. It's really weird. I love it though.
That's kind of cool. Well, it definitely keeps Clint Eastwood in the pop culture realm space.
It really does. But, what were we talking about? Spaghetti westerns.
Spaghetti westerns, just how, specifically with that one, and you could say a lot of spaghetti westerns just got kind of put in the background for the Oscars. They just didn't really care about them. That's what made. Again, this is, I hate going back to things that I talk about all the time, but you know what? I don't care.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's our podcast.
It's our podcast. So, you know what? Suck it. No, just kidding.
We'll talk about Marvel and Bond and all that all we want.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what made The Unforgiven win so cool. Because they just didn't really...
Yeah, especially like in the latter half of like...
Yeah.
I mean, like True Grit won Best Picture and stuff like that too, but like, once you hit a certain point...
did it win Best Picture?
I think it did.
No, I don't think so, TJ.
Did it not? Oh, no, it won Best Actor.
Yes.
I think it went up for Best Picture. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah, once you hit like a certain point, like, no Westerns went up for Best Picture or even talked about. And we're definitely still in that time frame. Because there hasn't been a big Western in years. They still make them, but...
They still... we were talking about Kevin Costner. He has that big... I can't remember what it's called, like, New Horizon... two-parter, which both movies I think are supposed to be over almost 3 hours long each, but it's this big epic about the move out west to move out west, and the I'm missing a word here, but I don't know what I'm thinking, but the
Expanse,
and just all that stuff. It's the part two. Both movies are about that, which should be really interesting because, as we know, whether you think, again, this is regarding the fact whether you think Dances with Wolves should have won Best Picture or not. We know that Kevin Costner can direct epics. He's very good at. He's good at that. I mean, he won Best Picture for Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of those guys that, like, no matter the scale, he can make a good, like, he's very good at, like, I think judging the scale of a movie and like adapting to that. Because I mean, like, some of those movies he's made, like, have been super small scale. Some of them have been big scale, like Dances with Wolves. I think he's like very adaptive in that sense, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's such a good actor director. So
it's kind of funny. We're hitting so many different points here, but
we are.
I'm just kind of pecking at different things here. We were talking about Westerns don't really win Best Picture. Dances with Wolves. I know there's 3 that are considered Westerns that have won Best Picture. Unforgiven, Dances with Wolves, and there's a third one which was made, I believe, in the 20s or 30s that I can't remember the name of.
Oh, like older one.
Older.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that Dances with Wolves and Unforgiven were only, 3-4 years apart?
Yeah, within the same 5 years.
Same 5 years?
So I think it's like 91 and like 96 or something like that. Probably it's like straight up 5 years apart, maybe.
Yeah. I want to mention that, and then... I don't know where else I was going. Well, we were talking about... I was going to look up the actual name of the epics that he's doing. And this is what... I was going to say this earlier, but this is what's taking his time away from Yellowstone, and part of the reason why he's saying, I want to leave, I want to do some other stuff.
Yeah. Fair, but also, I mean, like, you're in the middle of the show.
And that's...
Yeah.
I don't disagree at all with that.
Yeah, finish the last season. It's not going to destroy your time that much.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I've heard of what you're talking about, that big, like, Western Expanse Kevin Costner thing. Is it coming these next 2 years?
It says 2024, I believe, the last time I looked at it. But, okay, that's
interesting.
After. I want us... Oh.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I knew it was coming soon, but, like, I didn't
soon.
know how soon.
Yeah. Okay. Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2.
Okay.
A 15-year chronicle of the pre- and post-Civil War expansion and settlement of the American West.
Oh, yeah. It'll be nice to see, like, a big budget Western. Like, at least in like, movies. Like, I mean, you see a lot of, like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, you see a lot of, like, small productions of Westerns, but you definitely don't see big ones anymore. Like, I mean, like, you get, like I think Ethan Hawke did, like, 1 or 2, like, in the last 5 years. But like I said, they're super small. I think one of them was a miniseries. It's called like The Good Lord Bird, or
I've heard of that one.
yeah. Like he did that, and I think he did like one or two, something like that. And like you have a few like that, but I mean, you don't see him as much. It's very rare.
What was your last point?
You don't see westerns much anymore. They're all small budget stuff.
Totally true. And like you said, I think this will be refreshing for that reason.
Especially big budget.
Especially big budget. And if there is good mechanical filmmaking going on, if the components are if they're putting in great effort and not cutting corners, we could see another great Western again here with this Kevin Costner part 1, part 2, chapter 1, chapter 2. I love how long it's going to be too. Yeah. Both of them supposedly, this is just, before actual filmmaking is going on, is supposed to be each almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, like a slated runtime approximately.
So imagine a back-to-back, you're looking at almost 6 hours worth.
Yeah.
Or over 6 hours worth of content, which is cool.
Yeah. I love that.
Lawrence of Arabia, talked about it many times, one of my favorite movies. Mm-hmm. It's impossible to overhype that movie just because of
how good it is.
I'm not saying it has to be the level of Lawrence of Arabia, but if they put in the same effort as Lawrence of Arabia, make a good movie. Yeah. At least.
If it has, like tons of effort and tons of like love and production into it. Anything like that size and scale could be really cool, but I think it could be truly something special, especially in this last few years. Give like a big Western push that we definitely have not gotten since who knows.
I was worried at first about the lack of Westerns. Those when I made my comment earlier about, what about No Country for Old Men? It's a neo-Western, sure. It
got
has
Western
vibes. Obviously the landscape it's in Texas. It is that Western-esque, and there is some Western filmmaking going on in the different components of it. Mm-hmm. But it's not a true Western. It's not Unforgiven. Yeah. It's a neo-Western of all things. The closest it gets to a Western is that.
Yeah.
Did I just blank out on what I was going to say?
Maybe. I think you did.
I think I did. Maybe that means we need to wrap things up here, unless I forget something. Did you want to mention anything, TJ? That I just blanked out on? That's bad of me.
I know we were looking at the Heat poster, and you had something to say about Val Kilmer Batman. Because I mentioned Batman, and you said you had something to say there.
Oh, yeah. I guess we'll go there. Another iconic character that wasn't given good writing in the 90s. Last episode, we talked about Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, yeah.
And now we have Val Kilmer's Batman, who eventually, guys, will get a board going of our guys. TJ and I, it's been a while since we've talked about one of our guys, but we have this running list of just guys that we just get behind, or gals. These guys, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer's one of them. We both think he should have won an Oscar at some point. He had that. A lot of people think he should have got nominated for Heat.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
He had that acting level to win an Oscar. He just never got the opportunity, and the Oscars never addressed the movies that he did have the opportunity to get nominated for.
Yeah. He wasn't yet. He definitely was still acting in the 2000s, but that 80s, 90s run for him was just super good. In terms of iconic movies, just back to back to back for him.
I'm your Huckleberry. Tell you what, if there's a movie he should have got nominated for, it should have been Tombstone.
I've actually never seen it. I just know that quote.
You just know that quote. It's
super iconic.
Tombstone, man, I love this theme here. I'm just excited because we're talking about all these Westerns. We're having this Western theme here without even intentionally doing so.
No, we kind of stumbled into it.
We're just kind of stumbling back to this Western stuff here, and hey,
It's fun to talk about Westerns.
It is. It really is. In a world where, as we've been mentioning, they're just not really prevalent anymore.
No. I think it's just a fun way to kind of go back to old school filmmaking, because it's very much kind of caked in the old style of Hollywood. And I think it's just a genre that just works so well for that. That noir, perfect versions of that kind of filmmaking.
Where I was going with the Tombstone thing was it has some of the most iconic lines of any Western ever.
I'd say so.
Of course, I mentioned the most iconic, which is "I'm Your Huckleberry," but there's so many others. And also want to talk about stacked cast, incredibly stacked cast. Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, of course. I'm sure I'm missing a couple others.
But I mean, like the lead four of that movie is, especially for the time, is fantastic.
It's game over, man. It's game over. I need to
rewatch that.
Yeah, same. Every time I say that quote, I think about rewatching it.
Yeah.
The never-ending rewatch list.
Oh yeah. Next, I'm gonna my next few things. I'm gonna try and rewatch our old James Bond movies.
Yeah, we talked about that last episode.
Yeah, that kind of inspired me to rewatch License to Kill 2 days ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a little better than I remembered.
Good.
It's I don't think it's like leagues and bounds better, but like I think I give it a little half-star bump. It was a fun little movie.
When was that movie made?
I think it came out 89. So like Timothy Dalton did very, very end of the 80s for Bond. I think I like rounded out the decade. Then it was like a 4 or 5 year gap between him and Brosnan.
Yeah. I've been meaning to rewatch Skyfall for the longest time because I firmly believe. Well, I can't say I firmly believe, but a lot of people firmly believe that is a top 3 Bond movie ever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they talk about Casino Royale. They talk about
Goldfinger.
They talk about, and then Skyfall is always usually in that conversation. Which I can understand why. You have a great director.
And honestly, like it's a very fun, just like it feels like in depth, but also it feels incredibly like simple and like basic, like in the best way. And I think that's why people like it so much, because it's always fun to watch because it's like you're never like this is the most deep movie ever. It gets into it, but like it's not like crazy in that respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to watch like Spy Who Loved Me and Live and Let Die and some of those again.
I always go back and forth, especially when I was watching and then rewatching a lot of those. You and I went through a fairly long period where we were really watching a lot of them and going back and watching them and all that sort of thing. I was always toying with and sort of figuring out whether is it a spy who it's the Spy Who Loved Me, right? Or is it a?
It's the Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, the Spy Who Loved Me. Whether that one or For Your Eyes Only was the best Roger Moore. Now, of course, I am biased because I think For Your Eyes Only is one of my favorite Bond movies.
I have to rewatch that one.
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot of Roger Moore movies, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
That'll
be something interesting, TJ, for you to look at, and maybe I'll get the opportunity. But if you do, what one's the best? Is it The Spy Who Loved Me? Is it For Your Eyes Only?
Yeah.
Because to me, again, I don't know what the Bond community or the film community says, but to me, and from the little stuff that I heard, those were always the two. It really, at least two of the three. The third one could be, I don't know, maybe the first one, but that he's in.
I was gonna say, for me, like Roger Moore, I've always heard Spy Who Loved Me is probably his best.
Yeah.
I always pop culturally, that's the one I think that like is always number one.
Of course, has Jaws in it too.
Yeah. And then For Your Eyes Only is always up there. I know it's like not like the most popular Bond movie. Like I think we were looking at it on Letterboxd, and it's like I think out of the true Bond movies, it's like the least popular on Letterboxd.
Where do we go and introduce people to this masterpiece?
Honestly. So I think like in terms of like popularity, I'd say it's probably Live and Let Die next. But I think as a movie, it might be For Your Eyes Only.
That's a real shame because For Your Eyes Only, again, I can talk about that movie forever, but it people credit the Dalton movies as being the first darker Bond movies, but For Your Eyes Only is working with some dark stuff.
I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't really remember much. But.
Yeah, some really, not only just other things around Bond getting dark, but Bond himself getting becoming a darker character that we see with Daniel Craig, obviously, most recently. I'm so bad. I love killing the audio this episode. It was going well for a while, right? I hadn't moved the book for a while, but it was
very peaceful in podcast town.
I just ruined my streak. I'm so sorry. I'm so
all
sorry,
good.
ladies and gentlemen.
We'll let you off with the warning.
TJ slides the blade out of his.
Yeah, I'll sheath my katana.
Yeah. He just has it behind his chair.
But yeah.
It's a shame because my computer is literally closing in on death.
Oh, no.
AKA about to die. So I'll make this quick and we can kind of wrap things up.
Yeah, please do.
But there's some... And I want to get into the exact details, but I want to keep the whole episode spoiler-free, so I won't. There are some things that Roger Moore does in that movie, and particularly one instance, but there are a few others where you kind of caught off guard because you're thinking...
You assume Roger Moore's like fun-loving.
Yeah, I mean,
he honestly is.
He is. He's known as the comedy guy. He's known as the funny Bond.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the movie so good, in part, is because it's such a darker turn. It's so far away from what you knew and loved. And maybe that's part of the reason why it is not nearly as regarded as the other ones, because it is different. But
and I mean, they kind of the Dalton treatment, like it's the Dalton treatment of the Moore era,
right?
Yeah, because I noticed that when I was rewatching, especially License to Kill. I don't think he's like as dark in Living Daylights, but License to Kill has some moments where you're like, wow, Timothy Dalton's kind of dark in this movie, and it's like, I mean, it still has its like goofy moments because it's James Bond, but I mean, there's parts of it where you're like, wow, Timothy Dalton's kind of unhinged in parts of this movie, and it's for the best. I love it.
Yeah.
Young Benicio del Toro.
That's right. He's in it.
Yeah, with I noticed he's wearing eyeliner in that movie, and it makes it so much funnier.
Well, he's a part of that bombastic chase at the end.
Not the car part.
Oh, that's a Oh, really? But that's the same movie, right?
Same movie.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, the truck chase is at the end of that movie.
I remember how he dies now.
Yeah. I know. My dad's like, I've never seen. Or a long time ago, he's like, I've never seen a Bond movie, except for one, and he's like, I only remember there's a chase scene at the end, and I was like, dude, that's License to Kill, baby. And he's like, I don't remember a damn thing about that movie. It's like, we'll have to watch it sometime because it's a fun little movie. I like it. It's not the best one, but it's enjoyable. It is.
Is there anything else, TJ, you want to mention before we wrap things up?
Fan 4 Stick, best movie I've ever seen.
Boy.
I watched that the other day, or I guess a week ago now.
Haven't you rewatched it twice in the last few months?
I've never seen Fan 4 Stick.
Oh.
I watched it, and my friend was like, I watched it with a friend, and he was like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. And I can totally see why. Because it's just awful.
How far are you on Heart of Darkness?
I've yet to start it. I'm gonna start it this week. It's the next thing I was about to do. All right, so I guess John is reading. So this has been our Manic Movie Misses podcast. For John, I'm signing off, and for me, I'm also signing off. Check out our YouTube, our Instagram, or Spotify, all linked somewhere, especially in a link tree. They're definitely there. But yeah, sayonara. We'll see you in the next episode where we'll talk about something. Maybe our top movies 2023, because I know we've been meaning to do that. But that being said, yeah, adios. Have a nice one. See you next episode.